So, what if your street, your actual neighborhood, could become its own power company? Trading electricity from house to house, saving everybody a bunch of money, and making the whole grid more stable. It sounds a little like science fiction, I know, but some new research gives us a really fascinating blueprint for how this could be right around the corner. Take a look at this. This is basically the future, and it's called an energy community. Just picture it. A group of homes all connected. Maybe they've got their own solar panels and batteries. So they can make their own power, they can store it, and, now this is the really cool part, they can trade it directly with each other. All right, but here's the wrap, right? That's the million-dollar question. When your neighbor wants to sell you their extra solar power and you want to buy it, how do you set a price that's fair for both of you, and for that matter, for everyone else on the street? Especially when we all know we're all trying to get the best deal for ourselves. And this right here is the core of what researchers call the neighborhood grid problem. It's not just a technology issue, it's this super interesting puzzle of economics and really human behavior. So let's break that down. What is an energy community? Well, it's not just about the physical wires connecting the houses. Think of it more like a local market, a kind of virtual layer where neighbors can buy and sell electricity directly, peer-to-peer. And inside this little market, each home isn't just sitting there passively using power. Oh no. They become what game theorists call strategic agents. And that's just a fancy way of saying they're an active player who's making smart decisions to get the absolute best outcome for themselves. In this case, the lowest possible electricity bill. So you've got this classic puzzle, right? How do you design a system where everyone looking out for number one actually leads to the best, most efficient, and cheapest result for the entire group? It's a tough nut to crack. And that puzzle gets even trickier because you also have to deal with this constant tug of war between planning for the future and just dealing with the messy, unpredictable present. This really highlights the tension. On one hand, you've got what's called day-ahead planning. This is your game plan. You try to schedule all your energy needs 24 hours in advance to lock in the best prices. But then, bam, you run smack into real-time reality. You know how it is. A perfectly sunny day turns cloudy, you decide to run the dishwasher, whatever. Suddenly, your plan is out the window, and you need to adjust right now. How can one system possibly handle both? Well, this is where some really brilliant new mechanism design comes into play. Researchers have come up with a two-stage solution that is specifically built to balance that need for a solid plan with the need for real-world flexibility. Let me show you how it works. It's actually really elegant and simple. So in stage one, you've got the plan-ahead market. Everybody says, okay, here's what I think I'm going to need tomorrow, and the system figures out the best schedule for the whole community. Then you have stage two, the last-minute auction. This is a live market that happens every hour, and it lets people buy or sell little bits of energy to cover any of those unexpected changes. Probably the best way to wrap your head around it is to think about booking a flight. Stage one, the planning stage. That's like buying your plane ticket months in advance to get a really good price. You plan ahead, you commit, you save a ton. Stage two is like when you get to the airport and realize you need to check an extra bag. You pay a small fee, solve an immediate problem, and it doesn't mess up your whole trip. So you can see how these two stages are working in perfect harmony. Stage one is all about long-term stability and squeezing out the maximum savings for the whole community. And stage two is about short-term flexibility and making sure things are fair for each person in real time. Together, you get a system that's both super efficient and really robust. Okay, so this all sounds fantastic on paper, but does it actually work in the real world? To find out, the researchers put it through its paces with a really detailed simulation. So they set up a virtual neighborhood of 8 homes in Australia, and they used actual real-world data for how much sun they'd get and how much electricity people used. A huge question was whether this local trading could help smooth out the demand on the main power grid, avoid those big, expensive energy spikes in the evening when everyone gets home from work. So what happened? The results are, honestly, pretty staggering. First off, the total energy cost for the entire community dropped by a massive 32.4%. I mean, that's almost a 1/3 cut in their combined electricity bill just by trading with each other. And it gets even better. For the homes that were actually producing more solar power than they were using, the prosumers, the total money they earned by selling that extra power shot up by almost 40%. So not only did they save money, they actually made more money. So let's put this two-stage method head-to-head with another approach, like a standard mid-market rate. Well, the data is pretty clear. the total payment the community had to make to the main grid was way lower. And their total utility, which is just an economist way of saying their overall financial benefit and happiness, was higher. It's a clear win-win. These results are so much more than just numbers in a research paper. I mean, they're really pointing toward a fundamental shift in how we're all going to manage and use energy. So, why does this system work so well? It really boils down to three key things that are baked right into its design. First, it's fair. Your bill will never be higher than it would be if you weren't in the community, so there's literally no risk to joining. Second, it's balanced. The local market pays for itself. You don't need any outside subsidies. And third, and this is my favorite, it's trustworthy. The rules are set up so that being honest about your energy needs is always the most profitable thing to do. There's just no incentive to game the system.
So the bottom line is, this isn't just some thought experiment. It's a practical blueprint for building the next generation of our power grid, one that's decentralized, way more efficient, and, puts more power and more money back into our hands. And all this leaves us with a pretty cool question to chew on. With technology like this, with a system that so cleverly gets everyone's interests aligned, could the power plant of the future not be some giant building miles away, but your own street?